You and I are going wine shopping together. You can find a sensational bottle of wine for criminally low prices. Let's get started exploring and tasting new wines together. We are back with yet another sassy, delicious Italian red. This is one of the 2 bottles that I recommend you could bring to the Super Bowl to please all of your family and friends, but it has so much more potential and so much more to offer outside of one day of the year. Italy is an absolute treasure trove when it comes to wine and grapes. There are, some say, over 2,000 different grape varieties in Italy, with 400 of those being in commercial production. So that means there's just so much more to explore, to learn, to taste, more than you could possibly fit into one lifetime. Today we are focusing in, though, on one single solitary grape called Nero d'Avola. And this is Femar Vini's Epicuro Nero d'Avola, coming from Trader Joe's for the low price of $5.99. Nero d'Avola's home is Sicily, where it is considered the most important grape in Sicily and one of the most important indigenous grapes in all of Italy. It's also one of the 2 most planted grapes in Sicily, alongside another native grape called Catturato. In English, the name of this grape translates to the black grape of Avola, named after the town of Avola in southern Sicily. This grape loves a hot, dry climate, so it has the perfect home in Sicily. And to protect these grapevines from potentially hazardous high winds, a lot of the wine growers are training their vines very low to the ground. So the vineyards here may look a little bit different than what you're used to. Several high-quality producers have made some really excellent single varietal Nero d'Avola, and so the respect for this grape and its wine is growing. But in spite of the attention, these bottles don't really get above $20 or $30, which is pretty good news for us. Sicily is broken up into 24 different legally demarcated wine-growing zones. Around the neck of an Italian bottle of wine, you'll see the letters DOC or DOCG. This means that your bottle of wine was held to high legal standards as far as what grape or grapes could go into it, how it was made, how much of it was made, and that most of, if not all, of the grapes in here had to come from the region listed on the label. In the case of our wine here, this is coming from DOC Sicilia. This means these Nero d'Avola grapes are coming from all over the island of Sicily as opposed to one focused region. This means we can get a really lovely overview of all of the different climates and terroir that Sicily has to offer. It's like we get to travel all over the island in one little bottle. So that all being said, we have to drink it, right? We gotta taste it. So, looking in the glass, this is pretty deep in color. It's this really lovely garnet color with a little orange around the rim, which you see in a lot of Italian wines. On the nose, I get a lot of tart plums, black cherries, blackberries as well. Getting some kind of black pepper spice, but also I'm getting a lot of clove on this and other warm baking spices like nutmeg, like cinnamon. Getting this lovely licorice, sweet tobacco, chocolate, and espresso beans actually in here. Let's taste it. Just like it's on the nose, very juicy on the palate. I would say leaning actually a little way. I mentioned tart on the nose. It's a little riper now on the palate, a little more juicy, like biting into a ripe, juicy black plum or red plum, and the juice gets sprayed all over your face. This is a wine that has the potential to be very high in tannin. Not as high as, say, Nebbiolo or some Cabernet Sauvignon, but it does tend to have elevated tannin levels. I would say this is moderate to moderate plus. It's not screechingly high. And again, tannin is found naturally in grapes in the vineyard, going to be in their skins, the seeds, the stems, and then it's also imparted from the oak barrels that a lot of these wines age in. And it sucks all the moisture out of your mouth. And I often say it's like sandpaper on your gums or on your teeth, and you're just like you want a bite of cheese. Although I always want a bite of cheese. As far as acidity, medium plus on that. Again, because it's a little higher in tannin, a little higher in acid, very food-friendly wine. It's not super rich and heavy and robust though. It doesn't seem to be too high in alcohol as well. I'm not getting a burn down my esophagus. It's 12.5%, so it's a very restrained red wine as far as alcohol goes, which you'd be surprised from a hot region like Sicily that they're not letting it get super, super ripe, but you do have the winds and other things like proximity to the sea to mitigate potentially overripeness or high alcohol. So it has this lovely playfulness between this juicy, potential something that you would smell and potentially think was very robust, but it has this lifted freshness as well. So when I said this is a sassy Italian red wine, I wasn't kidding. It's very sassy. Lovely structure. This is a mostly fruit-forward wine. I would say you have some of those little notes of tertiary, we call them notes, or secondary notes. So the tertiary notes coming from things like oak, comes from age as well. This is not an aged wine. You'll see a lot, there are a couple different styles of Nero d'Avola. Some of them are very fruit-forward and some of them can lean more towards that earthiness. I would put this in the more fruit-forward camp. And the lovely thing about this, because it has that duality between juicy and fresh, is that this wine can take you throughout the year. In the winter time, this is gonna be delightful with richer stewed meats, roasts, something heavier, more stick to your ribs, but it's also gonna be great during the summer at barbecues with your burger, with your barbecued meats, especially sweeter barbecue sauces. Although this might be lovely with spicy too, because it's not too high alcohol. I'll have to try it with both. This is your go-to pasta wine. This is your go-to pizza wine. It's just so approachable, so fun, so easy to drink. If you are a lover of more robust wines, Cabernet Sauvignon that has more fruit on it, juicier, more bold Syrah, Shiraz, I think this would be a really, really good pick for you. And for $5.99, like, let's roll the dice, let's see. If anything, you would just find another style of wine that you enjoy. Oh no, darn. So if you do decide to be adventurous and go pick yourself up a bottle, let me know what you think about it. Try it with some food, try it on its own, let us know. And until we share our next glass of wine, I hope you keep on exploring and tasting new wines. Cheers.